Welcome to the One Player Podcast, the show on solitaire board games. I'm Albert, and this is episode 404.
Albert gets to try to redeem his previous poorly picked games.
That's right. That's right. This is gonna make up for all of them. This is the best game ever. Yeah. So today's game is Shred of Redemption. It's a game in the what is it? What series is this?
It has a series?
It is. It's the Solo Game of the Month series.
Ah.
Have you heard of this series?
I have heard of that series. It's the one that comes in the weird VCR boxes.
The size and shape is, but it's just a cardboard box. No, not weird at all. But it's about the size and shape of a VCR. Maybe some of them did come in that format. I don't actually know. It is published by Best with One from bestwith1.com. And there's a series. They were doing this in not Kickstarter, backer kit maybe. And every month there's a different solo game, and this was one of them. There have been a few other good ones. I think, didn't you talk about one or back one at one point?
I've backed one or two of them, but I can't get over the box. I really am not a fan of the VCR boxes, so I'm not going to be backing any of them in the future.
So it really did come into this. Like I said, this one was not a VCR box. So maybe they changed that. Maybe they heard the complaints.
Could be.
I don't know, but this is a perfectly fine, typical, standard cardboard box. Just size like one of those. Hang on, what is the game? What game is it that you got from that series? I seem to remember it.
It's like a Little Robinson Crusoe.
Oh, I don't know that one. Dyson Crusoe?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. Yeah, they also did and I think it might be part of the same series, Hunted, the Kobayashi Tower. I seem to remember you talking about that.
I did that one also. That was before they did their Game of the Month series.
Okay. So it's not part of that series, but it was the same publisher. Was that in a VCR box too? Well,
that was not a VCR box. It was just in a tiny little box.
Okay. It looks like they did at some point make it a solo game of the month, because I see it here with a logo on that box and a picture of it on BGG. Anyway, that's what this is. This is a solo game of the month club. I'd heard of these and I'd never seen one before, so I saw it at my game store, not thrift store, in the consignment shelf. So I picked it up, give it a try. This is a game in which you are some sort of feudal king who has spent many years warring and fighting and amassing your power, and you're old and decrepit and feeling like you might be about to die, and say, you know what, I was kind of a jerk and I might go to hell. So let me redeem myself and see if I could turn my fate around. And that's exactly what the game is about: redeeming yourself by turning your all your past misdeeds into goodness, I guess. It's an odd theme, and I guess I admit that really attracted me to it. To me, I think it's sort of like Conan. You know, he was kind of a jerk, and he was a king, and he went and killed a lot of stuff and raped and pillaged and all that, and because he was Conan. Well, I think that's what this is. You're supposed to be some sort of Conan.
It doesn't look like that.
No, the artwork doesn't look like that, but that's what I think of it. Whenever I play, in my mind, I'm almost making a Conan voice as I get redeemed. It just looks like typical feudal medievalness. So yeah, so that's the game. Hey, where's my show notes? Hang on, where's my little list of topics? What do we do next? We usually go talk about the summary. I guess I did the summary already. So let's talk about the components, and we've already been doing that too. It's a small box game. It's about the size of a VCR tape box, slightly bigger. It's pretty full. There isn't a lot of space, so you get to tuck the components in there like a little bit of a puzzle, which, you know, I kind of appreciate that. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying, but it's also nice if you're not wasting a lot of space. So what this game brings is a tiny linen bag. There's a draw. You're drawing in this bag, from this bag as you're playing. I found the bag a little bit too small, so I happen to have a much bigger one. I replaced it. That one was it was big enough to stick a couple fingers in there and fish around for tiles or dice. I now have a bag you can put your whole hand in. Much better. Besides a bag, I mentioned you're fishing around for dice. Well, there's 24 custom Vice dice in this game. Each dice has symbols on it. Three sides have the same symbol, the main symbol, and the other three have three different symbols that are different from the main symbol. Each symbol is associated with a color, so the dice are color coded, right? There'll be a purple die with a purple symbol on three sides and three other symbols. There's a yellow die or red die, for example, with the red symbol. When I say they're red dies and purple dies, they're not actually that color. There's an outline. There's a small. It's a white die, a small stamp picture. The main side, the back of the stamp is purple or red. It's the color of the whatever that vice is. The flip sides have a white background but have a border that's that color, and a little hard to see. But that's the dice. There's also I also mentioned you're going to be drawing tokens from the bag. There's 42 virtue tokens, right? There's vice dice and virtue tokens. The tokens are double sided in that the front is a fully available. The backside means it's been half used. It's basically the same token on both sides.
And the dice look way cooler than the tokens. Because
Yeah,
they're
it's the
dice, of
same
course.
image, but they're dice. Yes, the tokens are they're tokens. They have like here, for example, my hand have restraint, and then it has a restraint that looks like a scale, and then there's the vice is pictured on the top, so you could tell which die it goes with, and it's a little spilled cup of wine. So if you're not restraining yourself, you're probably gluttonous or something like that. There's also besides all the vice or virtue tokens, there's 42 of them. There's 6 different vice virtues, so that's what seven tokens per. And then there's another 12 tokens that are regret tokens. They're going to go in the bag. These are bad things you get to deal with. While you try and become virtuous, you're trying to deal with your regret that's lingering around and getting in the way of things. Then that's all that goes in the bag. There's also what did I write here? Redemption cards. 25 redemption cards. These are cards you're going to have that are going to give you little powers as you play. They're also going to kind of help you set up the game to play. And we'll get into how that's going to work. Each card's different. They'll do things like let you manipulate the dice or the tokens, generally speaking, or maybe even the bag. Then there's the 10 reckoning cards. The game is played in 3 phases. The third phase is your reckoning phase. So we'll get more into that later. And there's 6 virtual reference cards. Virtual? I wonder if they mean as in virtue. I don't know. I wrote virtual. There's there's 6 cards, one per virtue. So I think I just wrote it wrong. Just telling you when you're spending your tokens, what the tokens do. And finally, 30 small vice cards. These are just cards to put your dice on, sort of using as a board or playmat kind of thing. Each you don't use all 30 necessarily. When you're playing, you're gonna draw 5 tokens, and there's gonna be 5 dice in the game that you're using. You're gonna put the tokens on the matching card just to make it easy to visualize. So there's 5 of each of the 6 virtues. That way, there's enough for whatever combination of dice you get. And that is it for the components. Besides the rulebook, of course. Any other comments about the components for Julius?
Yeah, here's a comment I have. It uses a lot of this really old style text. The icons
Yes.
on it seem to be really clear. The icons seem to be vivid and different. So you can tell the difference between the icons, which is especially good because many of them are on a die. So you're often not going to be able to look at them from the side, from straight up. You'll have to see them at sort of an oblique angle. But even looking at that, even on small size, I can easily tell the difference between them. They generally have, there's a lot of different backgrounds involved in them. The images are pretty clear, I think, for the different ones of them. But that font, that
Kind of
font that they're
unreadable.
using for this is pretty unreadable. It's really hard to tell. You commented that you
Yeah.
think it's virtual. I thought you were making a joke by poking at the fonts. It is impossible to me unless it was straight on and perfectly lined up. It is horrible. I don't know why they would pick that.
Yeah, well, it's an old English font, and I think it's totally thematic. You'll be happy to know that it doesn't really matter a whole lot when you're playing. You're gonna focus on the icons. So
Okay.
it's there. It's just flavor text for the. Yeah, I hadn't noticed it honestly. So, and since I'm sure I did when I first played it, but I got used to it. Yeah, that is
Okay.
interesting. It is a poor font. It is hard to read it in that small size. If it was a large size, it'd probably be just fine. But it's a small box game, which means you gotta have small
I mean,
components and small cards and
I've digitally increased it on my screen to tell, and it's still horrible to read. And it exists in the
okay.
rule book too.
Okay.
It's all over in the rule book. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, well, style. It's a small time publisher. Okay, speaking of the rulebook, that's our next topic, isn't it? Rulebook works really well. It's small and thin. It's 12 pages. It's simple enough. I found the rules pretty clear. I found a little bit of confusion here and there, especially in reference on how the dice work. Like these dice that I mentioned, they're purple on, like the purple die will have three sides that have that purple icon on the and it's an icon on a purple background, and the other three sides will have different icons with a white background. And it is hard to in the rule or in the components when you're playing, the card will say, "Oh, dice of the same color," and it took me a while to figure out what they meant because they're all white dice, and they mean that its primary side is the same color. So maybe you have a die that's a purple die face up and then a purple die face down. So the one face is purple and the other face shows like the yellow virtue or the red virtue. They're considered the same colored die because the primary face is the same. I found that a little confusing. I ended up looking at BGG, but it is in the rules. I just didn't read it because I kind of skimmed through that section. So I found it a little tricky, but honestly, mostly it's fine. The the one thing about it is that the gameplay I thought was a little bit unusual, so it was confusing, and then you're learning a new style of play that you're not used to. At least that's what I thought personally. Not that different. Don't get me wrong. I didn't struggle with it. It's just a little more effort. My one complaint about this is the colors of the rulebook. I have decided I don't like dark backgrounds. The pages are mostly black background with white text on it, and once or twice blue or red text on black background. And you know what? That doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
That is hard to read.
This
Um,
is a graphic design nightmare.
yeah, it could be better. It could definitely be better. Fortunately, again, once you've learned it, you're not gonna have to deal with it too much. But yeah, this back cover page, red text on dark red text on black background. Reckoning phase. It, yeah, I have to look at it and concentrate to be able to read it. And not only is it the bad color, it's that font Julius really likes. That old English or whatever it's called font. So it's so
That's
it's a little
just
tricky.
horrible.
So yeah, so there's the fault there. The rules are fine. The book's a bit hard to read for sure. Yeah. Okay. Then. Oh, I skipped theme, but I already talked about the theme a lot. It's pretty abstract, but I think the theme comes across pretty decently, right? In that you're flipping the tokens, and it works, and you're trying to redeem yourself by being virtuous in the counter to whatever vices you had that made you such a horrible person, and lining them up, and then the way there's these what are these tokens called again?
The illegible tokens. I don't know why we need names when you can't read them.
The regret tokens. There's these regret tokens that you throw in the bag too. Um, and there's a lot of regret, and you can't win the game if you still have any regret. So you got to somehow get rid of the regret tokens as you're playing. So it kind of feels thematic in a weird way, in a weird abstract game. I do like it. Yeah. All right. So on to gameplay then. This is a game that's played in three different phases. It kind of reminds me of Sylvian. You remember in Sylvian how you play in two phases? The first one is you're basically setting up the game by choosing which cards to keep and which ones not to use, that sort of thing.
Indeed.
And once you've done that, you've built the deck to play the game with. Similar idea. You're going to start by putting all the dice into the bag and then drawing one dice and drawing two of the redemption cards. You'll then choose one of the redemption cards to keep and the other one to discard. And then you'll repeat this again. Draw a die and two cards, choose one. You will do this 5 times. Now, doing the dice and the cards in a combination kind of matters because the cards are going to do another thing. Not only are they giving you a benefit when you're playing that you can discard the card for its power, but they also help determine which tokens start in the bag at the beginning. So if you're drawing a lot of dice that are purple, then you may want to make sure to pick cards that are also purple, so that or that give you purple tokens, so that you'll be able to match them because that's what you need to do is match them. So I'm playing a game now just to right before the show I started a game just to refresh myself, and I started and it has one brown virtue, uh, piety, I think, or something like that, and four purple ones. So they're all exactly the same. And as I was picking cards, I did not keep an eye on those counters. So now I have very few counters in the bag of that purple type that I need four of. So it makes it tricky. So you want to kind of take advantage of picking the right combinations of cards based on both the power and what icons it'll give you for the start of the game. So you'll do this, I said, 5 dice, 5 cards when you're done. The rest of the cards are all going to be set aside. They're not used this game. You'll take all the dice out of the bag, put them back in the box, and now put counters into the bag. You'll put 6 of the regret counters, 1 each of the virtue counters, and then 1 each per icon on the card you picked. So generally speaking, the cards will give you 2 or 3 virtue tokens. Let's say that's what 2.5 average per card, so 7.5 tokens, 8 tokens, let's say. 8 plus 6, 14 good tokens, 6 bad tokens in the bag, roughly.
Nice.
The next thing you do is you now start drawing tokens bag one at a time and placing them. Well, let's start with the dice. You'll roll the dice one at a time. You drop. I guess you pull them out of the bag, but do it randomly one at a time. Roll it and see what face it comes out, and line them up so you have all 5 dice lined up. You'll put them on those little cards of the matching color as a nice reference, and now you've got a row of 5 vices you got to conquer with your good deeds at the end of your life. And now you will go ahead and start drawing the virtues from the bag, taking a virtue out, putting it under the first die. Take another virtue out, put it under the second, and so on until you have 5. If you draw a regret token, you will put it in the next spot that's available, but you still draw an extra virtue. So when you're done, let's say you drew a couple of regret tokens, you're going to have 5 tokens in a row. 2 of those are going to be regrets, and then 2 more at the end past the cards of the last 2 virtues you drew. Now, when you've done this, you'll notice that probably your things don't line up. Your virtues and your regrets aren't lined up by type perfectly. Your goal is to line them up and get rid of any regret that's on the board. And now starts the second phase. The second phase, I was the rules were clear. I knew what to do. But once I had it set up and ready to go, I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. What's the right choice? No idea. And the first couple games, it's a little tricky to kind of get the feel of it, but you're basically spending your tokens. You could either flip a token over to its used side or remove an unused token completely to get a more powerful action. If you flip the token, you'll get a weaker action. If you remove it, you get a powerful action. If the token's already flipped, you could remove it. If it's already on its used side, remove it and get that weak action. So potentially you can get 1 powerful action or 2 weak actions out of a token. You will keep doing this, spending your tokens and or playing cards until you decide you can't do it anymore and you've lost, or until you've lined up all your virtues and vices and have no lingering regret. If that happens, you have reached the third phase of the game, the Reckoning. You will draw a Reckoning card, and it will give you some instructions on how to adjust the board. And once again, you need to line up your virtues and your vices. And the type of things that Reckoning card might do, it might say, oh, shuffle all the Reckoning cards or the Reckoning tokens. I'm sorry, shuffle all the virtue tokens and lay them back out. Or maybe add a couple tokens or do different things, manipulate the board, maybe flip some dice or reroll dice, whatever. Selling you're done and now you got to start over and try and once again line everything up perfectly with no regret. And if you manage to do that, you win the game.
Also with no regret.
Yes, with no regret. That is, I don't know, I've played about half a dozen times at this point. I think I managed to win once. I definitely find it a bit challenging. Yeah, I could often get through the second phase of the game, but that Reckoning will usually get me. And there's things you want to do. You want to make sure and try and hopefully finish with still having a lot of cards in your hand, or a good combination of tokens, or possibly extra good tokens already out on the board, so that you have more room to work with. Because you're not allowed to have regret, but if you got 5 vices to do it with, it's fine if you got those 5 virtues lined up and an extra 3 virtues that are you're just that good. That's fine. So yeah, so that's basically the game. It is tough. Like I said, it's confusing at first. Let me tell you what the different action types of actions you can do, so you have a sense of how the game works. So there's restraint and debauchery. For if you use it the weak side, you get to swap two dice that are of the same color or showing the same vice. That's one of the ones I found confusing at first. If you discard it fully from its unused side, swap any two dice at all, and then re-roll one of them. So if you're like, man, I've got my red token over here in the right, but my red dice is all the way at the left. Well, I could discard my blue token, trade trade the red one with whatever it's on, and then pick one of those two dice to re-roll, and hopefully get another good combination. There's kindness and wrath. The red card. Swap two tokens that are adjacent or one apart. So just swap two tokens, or if you discard the card, swap any two tokens, turn one of them to the use side, or discard one if both are used. Let me find something that's really different. The purple one, charity or greed. If you use it once, draw a new token. If you fully use it, draw three new tokens. So that's a nice way to get a bunch of extra tokens on the board. Hopefully, not regrets, and give you more options and ways to manipulate that play area. But there you go. That's what you're doing. You're manipulating the play area. The cards are similar but different. Again, a couple of examples. Choose a virtue type. Discard all regret tokens adjacent to tokens of the chosen type. So if I happen to have like three of the red tokens out and there's some regret around a couple of those, I could get rid of a bunch of regret real fast that way. Add any 5 virtue tokens from the supply to the bag. The supply is just tokens that you don't have in the bag or out in the play area. These are just available tokens. So
That
that's a
makes
nice way
sense
to.
for terminology.
Yeah. Yes. And that stuff is explained in the rules. I just hadn't covered all those details. And that's it. Like for me in the game I'm playing, this would be really handy to have, so that I could have added the 5 tokens I needed. And you know what? This is one of my choices, and I didn't pick it. Boy, I'm kicking myself now because that would have really made a big difference. So yeah, that's that's basically how the game works. It's just going through and picking cards and or you know setting up your board and making your choices to get hopefully a good combination, and then play through it and hopefully get all your virtues lined up with your vices and make yourself a good person all of a sudden. Um, I'll admit I find that theme a little annoying, in that you could like be a jerk your whole life and at the end say, "Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be really good and fix it all, and it's always forgiven." Seems kind of, I guess that is the point. If you make your amends at the end, that's worth something and all that. But I don't know. It bothers me as a game, which is funny. It's a pretty neat game. Having played this, I am now curious about the solo game of the month series and would like to try other games. I think so. I thought this was a decent one
There's a
to
lot of
begin with.
variety out there for those.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They're all very different, right? So having played this game doesn't really tell me much about any of the other ones. This
True.
they're all different.
True.
Yeah,
And they're by different people each time.
different
So
designers too. That's right. Yeah, different designers. And who is this one by, you ask? Well, I will tell you. It was by Artem Safarov. There you go. So that is a shred of redemption.
so you have no regrets, is what you're saying.
I have no regrets. Yes, nicely done there. Yeah, absolutely no regrets with this game. It was a good purchase,
I'll accept
especially since I bought
possibly
it
the
used.
graphic design.
Up, it was easy enough to get over that.
Is it
Learning
really?
the rule, it really was, because it was only an issue for learning the game. I mentioned the book was a struggle, and it really was, and the colors is a big part of that. But once you're going, you don't need to read the. It doesn't matter what the vice is; it just matters what the icons are.
How long does it take you to play through?
Probably about half an hour,
Yeah.
maybe less. Probably less, actually. It depends on the
And you said
interruptions.
that your win weight's pretty low. Do you feel like you have control over it? Do you feel like you're doing something that you could do something different to win more? Or is it just beyond?
I think with experience, you definitely could get better at it, but there's also a lot of luck involved. I mean,
Mm,
potentially you could roll your dice and draw your tokens and have one immediately. It's like, well, that was easy, nice, right? If they all just lined up and there's no regret, that could definitely happen. In my game, I got four of the 5 dice had the same face, and that definitely made it hard, especially and have So it wasn't the right face, and the right tokens didn't show up for me to be able to manipulate the board enough. This is what I'm going to lose for sure. Like I don't have a good way to draw more tokens or add more tokens to the bag. So I'm kind of very luck dependent at this point. And that's okay. It's a fast game, and that I think that's fine for fast games. It says 15 minutes on the box. That's probably right. I'd say 15 to 20. It's hard to say because I started setting up, and then my wife called me, and then we talked about rearranging the furniture in the bedroom, and then came down and played, did a little more setup, and then she came down so we could finish editing her podcast, and then got started again, and then I'm late for recording this podcast. Got to run. So I have no idea how long this one's taken. Some amount of time.
Albert's staying busy.
Yeah. Yep. All right, then, Julius. Do you feel absolved?
No, I still can't get over the font.
Yeah. This game is great for like puns like that, isn't it?
Alrighty, everyone.
Anyway, thank you.
Have a good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. We love feedback, so we love hearing from you. You can reach me at julius@oneplayerpodcast.com or JLBird on BGG, and Albert can be reached at albert@oneplayerpodcast.com or Fractalute on BGG. Our website is oneplayerpodcast.com with the number 1, and we're also on Twitter at oneplayerpodcast. The intro music is copyright Angus, can be found at jamendo.com. The transition music is copyright by Dan Elduce Pancaldi, whose page is at donpancaldi.com. The One Player Podcast is protected under a Creative Commons share-alike license. Thanks for listening.